the colossal backlash from Rings of Power should have been enough to tell people of Hollywood, leave Lord of the Rings, leave Tolkien's work alone right now. Because we don't trust Hollywood. We don't trust y'all one bit. After what we've seen with Rings of Power, all the changes that were shifted because of modern audiences and people catering to what they think the modern audiences want to see, or in my opinion, want to push what they want instead of respecting the actual fans and just say it's for the modern audience so that they can bully you when you inevitably don't like it because it sucks, because for some reason Hollywood is struggling to find competent writers, especially, I don't know, maybe all these useless gender studies degrees and all that. Maybe they haven't been teaching people very good skills, especially creatively, because woke ideology especially loves to attack creativity. It loves to attack form of expression and escapism, if you will. We can't just have fun things. No. Can't have that. Can't escape all of this ideologies that are being pushed and forced on us. They even want to shoehorn it in all of our entertainment. And one thing that I noticed with all this stuff is, why is it that they constantly want to make the viewer feel guilty? Why are they constantly wanting the viewer to feel bad about themselves, or like, oh, wow, I'm a terrible person? It seems like that's what they always want to do, to the point now to where you can't even not like something without people calling you a bad person. It's just odd. It's very weird. They just want to guilt trip you in every way. They want you to hate yourself while pushing this whole notion of, oh, you have to be represented to like something, though. So you're supposed to be a narcissist in a way. You're supposed to have this inner conflict where you absolutely hate yourself because you're going to feel guilty for things that you didn't even do wrong. And also, you gotta be obsessed with yourself, because if you are not represented in a form of material, you can't watch it. Now, that is unless you're a straight white man, because if you're a straight white man, I mean, you're supposed to hate yourself in every way. That's the woke way, apparently. So, yeah, I really was hoping Rings of Power would be enough to show Hollywood that whole colossal failure and the backlash that was associated with it. I don't care what people want to say in terms of numbers and try to spin it to where, oh, you know, it did well or whatever. It didn't, especially when you're factoring in the massive budget that went behind it. All right. It was awful. It was a giant train wreck. It was terrible. And you don't mess with Tolkien fans. That's one thing that taught and demonstrated. Don't mess with the Tolkien fans. Right now, Variety just reported that Warner Brothers Pictures is revamping the Lord of the Rings film franchise. Okay? I'm about to dive into this. But this is the worst freaking news. Now, we do have some potentially good news with the Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Now, this is an animated feature next year, right? I do have some hope for this. We've got Miranda Otto on board. It feels like there is at least some degree of, hey, let's give the fans what we want. I mean, but we'll see. That's a whole other discussion. But this scares me. All right. Now, before I dive into this, let's see some of the feedback that they've received on this tweet. We've got Bossman here who says, probably for the best, the old movies didn't reflect a modern audience, to where he got pretty ratioed for this. I'm hoping that this was satirical, but probably maybe not. So then he got a response here, which I just think perfectly encapsulates how a lot of us are feeling in general when it comes to the state of entertainment and how woke ideology has just plagued everything. And this is where he says, it's supposed to reflect the story, not the audience. Thank you. Thank you. Can we get away from this insane narcissistic push on this whole representation thing or appealing to modern audiences? Because The truth of the matter is, entertainment is supposed to be entertainment and escape outside of ourselves. If you are so obsessed with yourself to where you can't even enjoy anything unless you're seeing yourself on the screen, you might have narcissism. Why this is something that's being glorified is just beyond my understanding. I don't get it. But can we bring common sense back? Because this whole obsession with narcissism has caused just chaos in society. We're to the point now where people are just doing insane things for representation purposes, to feel seen, or to, more often than not, just get some sort of attention out of it. This is why people are making up genders, dude. So we gotta stop this. I know social media doesn't help, but it's plaguing everything it touches. All this identity politics crap is plaguing everything that it touches, to where we can't even enjoy good stories anymore because the whole focus is more on identity, more on a checklist of how many characters do we have of this race? How many characters do we have of this gender? How many characters do we have of this sexuality? They're looking at these checklists of all these things instead of just making good entertainment. And we should be able to enjoy good entertainment that doesn't always have to be diverse in cast or representation. Whichever way that swings, you don't need a checklist for everything, right? But let's just go ahead and dive into this, see what's going on. Warner Brothers Pictures is revamping the Lord of the Rings film franchise. On a Thursday earnings call, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav announced that newly installed studio leaders Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi have brokered a deal to make multiple films based on the beloved J.R.R. Tolkien books. The projects will be developed through the WB label, New Line Cinema. Okay? The first Lord of the Rings trilogy, helmed by Peter Jackson, grossed nearly $3 billion worldwide. Jackson's follow-up trilogy, based on Tolkien's The Hobbit, matched those grosses. No filmmakers have been attached to the projects as of yet, but in a statement to Variety, Jackson and his main Lord of the Rings collaborators, Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, said Warner Brothers and Embracer have kept us in the loop every step of the way. Dude, I have not realized until the acquisition of Tomb Raider how much of a hold Embracer has in entertainment. It's wild. Like, and this is the scary thing though, is when, you know, a select few companies have such a big grasp, such a firm grasp on, and such a hold on entertainment at large, video games, movies, Hollywood, all that, is that whenever they are focused so much on the wrong side of things, like with woke politics and inserting that into entertainment, for example, if that is the direction they're going, you know you're hecked with all kinds of stuff, with all kinds of movies, with all kinds of video games, with all kinds of stuff, legacy things that we all love. In this case, Lord of the Rings. Like, this feels like sacrilege, right? When you look at any fandom in the world, I am a Tomb Raider fan, right? And it hurts to see Tomb Raider be desecrated. And it has hurt to see it desecrated and run to the ground as much as it has been. And to be changed beyond recognition as much as it has been. But even so, and while it is my favorite thing, while it sucks, I think just the desecration of Tolkien's work hurts more. That's what feels like. It feels like blasphemy. That's where it's just on a whole different level, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. You guys feel free to weigh in the comments. But this feels like blasphemy of some of the most wholesome pieces of entertainment to ever grace our presence, right? This is why Tolkien should be respected in his creation in this case. Now, nothing of this says that that's not going to happen, but we're jaded, man. We know how the entertainment space is. We know what they've been doing to everything. We know what they've already started with Rings of Power, for example, right? Now, obviously, this is a whole different thing, but the way I see it is the Lord of the Rings trilogy scaled great over time. They hold up. We don't need these redone right now. We don't. I would rather see something new or some other, take something else from a great piece of literature and work on that. Make that good. Actually focus on making it good. Actually focus on the source material and telling the story as great as possible instead of whatever politics you want to insert into it, because I'm over it. I don't want to watch these entertainment pieces for politics, for political reasons. I want to enjoy a good story. So the fact that they are doing this, it's going to default me into a skeptical mindset. Okay? Go ahead and prove me wrong at this point. Now, used to, I was all about giving the benefit of the doubt with entertainment, even with Tomb Raider, right? Oh, it'll get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. And it hasn't, right? And it's only going to get worse, in my opinion, with Tomb Raider. After you've been burned so many times by Hollywood or, current gaming industry, especially in the West, then you start to shift toward that, wait a minute, I'm going to be skeptical by default, and y'all are going to have to prove me wrong. And that's just where I'm at with this, because I feel like with something that still holds up and something that's still great, for them to have to want to redo them, to me, what that says is, wait a minute, we need to rewrite history in a way. Okay, we don't want people remembering the old stuff. We want to change it, and we want this to replace it. Like we've seen with Tomb Raider as well. I need to stop talking about Tomb Raider in every single video, but alas. All right, so we look forward to speaking with them further to hear their vision for the franchise moving forward. Jackson, Walsh, and Boyan said. Free Mode, a division of Embracer Group, made the adaptive rights deal for the books, including The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. The pact will be billed under the name Middle-earth Enterprises. Notably, DeLuca and Abdi left MGM last year to take the helm of Warner Brothers. Their exit followed the acquisition of MGM by Amazon. The tech giant owns the TV rights to The Lord of the Rings and produced a single season of television at the gut-busting price of over $450 million in 2022. Following our recent acquisition of Middle-earth Enterprises, we're thrilled to embark on this new collaborative journey with New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers Pictures, bringing the incomparable world of J.R.R. Tolkien back to the big screen in new and exciting ways. This is what does me a heckin' concern. In new ways. New, fresh, new, modern audience, modern, new, this, that. Okay. All right. Says Lee Guinchard, CEO of Free Mode. I look forward to the comments telling me how I butchered that name. We understand how cherished these works are, and working together with our partners at New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers Pictures, we plan to honor the past. Okay, you better look to the future and adhere to the strongest level of quality and production values. All right. So these two look good. The look to the future thing. We'll see. DeLuca and Abdi recalled that New Line had previously took an unprecedented leap of faith to realize the incredible stories, characters, and world of The Lord of the Rings on the big screen. But for all the scope and detail lovingly packed into the two trilogies, the vast, complex, and dazzling universe dreamed up by J.R.R. Tolkien remains largely unexplored. Inaugural projects and timelines were not immediately disclosed. The first Jackson trilogy starred Elijah Wood. We already know this heckin' stuff, right? So, this is a lot. Now, if you really want to be ballers here, you really want to change the game, because here's the thing, is the Lord of the Rings trilogy did change some stuff, right? We're not going to act like the Peter Jackson trilogy was 100% perfectly adapted. I mean, Christopher Lee and Peter Jackson butted heads a bit because Christopher Lee didn't like certain changes that were made. And that's fair. That's fair to have complaints against some of those changes that were made. But I think for most of us would say that Peter Jackson definitely demonstrated that he cared a lot about Tolkien's work and about Tolkien's vision and representing that. And then you see him in interviews talking about, when he was working on the Lord of the Rings trilogy, he was like focused, just beeline focus on Tolkien's vision, on interpreting Tolkien's work. This wasn't even about him. It wasn't about him so much and what he wanted and what he wanted to twist it into, or whatever his message was. He made it very clear that, hey, I want to honor Tolkien in this work. And to me, that's a very humble way to approach something like this, right? So humility isn't exactly on a mass scale prevalent in society right now, especially in the entertainment sphere and in Hollywood. So do I trust that whatever writers that have, graduated with gender studies degrees and believe that you can make up an infinite amount of genders and you're a bigot if you don't play along with people's delusions and those narratives, people who believe that way, who have at large taken over the entertainment sphere, do I trust them in this case, in this capacity? No. Now, especially when you're looking at, when you look at Lord of the Rings, man, this was created by a man of faith. J.R.R. Tolkien, the man. He's a Catholic, to my knowledge, a man of faith. It's just like, it hurts more. Obviously, like, I'm a Christian, so there's some sort of sadness I have here to see someone who prioritized faith so much in his life and in his works, and you just saw that seep into everything that he did with Tolkien. It saddens me to see that not have any sort of honor and respect in his work and what they're creating, and for them not to care about his vision and truly his heart and where that was. It makes me sad. For those who know, people of faith, y'all know how important that is to us. Because there's a difference, and we're all like, and I talk about this a lot in my videos as well, as we also see a hijacking of faith in general, especially Christianity, in this whole woke movement. I mean, they want to hijack everything, and Christianity being that. Not that this is the first time people have tried to hijack Christianity for their own message and narrative that they want to push, but man, we're seeing it like mad lately. It's to the point to where people try to use the Bible against you. I have had people come at me and say I'm a bad Christian because I believe in the Bible and because I believe what the Bible says is sin is sin. So I'm a bad Christian for that. I'm supposed to accept all of everything, right? I'm supposed to accept all the made up genders. I'm a bad Christian because I don't align with they, them, or any other made up gender. Make it make sense, right? Make it make sense that me believing in the Bible makes me a bad Christian. This is where we're at with things. But I'm hijacking my own video talking about faith here. But hey, to me, that is very relevant when you're talking about J.R.R. Tolkien and his work especially. And I think that'll, people who admire Tolkien, I think that regardless of whether their faith stands, I think that a lot of people have a lot of respect for him and his faith and how that was such a huge important part of his life. And so I think it does, as a Christian for me, it does hurt more to see a man of faith's work be tainted by the grubby hands that is Hollywood and all the corruption and all that stuff going on with that. But anyway, I don't have a lot of hope for this. This news saddens me, and I don't expect good things to come out of this. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I think, you know, like we keep saying with stuff, it's going to take Hollywood losing more and more money for them to have a shift in direction, and we're going to have to start using our wallets. Obviously, it's too soon to tell what's going on and what's going to be happening with this. Maybe they'll surprise us, and if they were smart, and if they like money, and if they want to make people happy, and they want to make the fans happy, try to stay as accurate as possible and deliver a great story. So what I want to understand is, when you got such a masterful work of art, you don't have to shift it. You don't have to change it for modern audiences. There are timeless works. Lord of the Rings is one of those things. It is timeless. It will always be incredible. It's one reason why people are still interested in the name, and the name Lord of the Rings still holds a lot of power for fans and for people in general. And after all this time, for there to still be such a massive amount of fans of the franchise, it's because it is a timeless work. You don't have to change things for modern audiences if it is timeless. Okay? Don't spit on Tolkien's name, haters. All right, so anyway, there you have it for today's video. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I will catch you next time. And in the meantime, go boom. I won't obey.